Good evening. Welcome to our regularly scheduled school board meeting for Sahuarita Unified School District. We already did our presentation of the colors, and so we'll head right into the hearing of the 2021-2022 budget revisions. Ms. Huey.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay? Good evening, governing board members, district administration, and community. I am presenting once again the 2021-22 budget revisions. With the delay to the state budget, the approval of the fiscal 22, districts are required to provide revised fiscal 22 budgets using the corrected forms prior to September 15th and to hold a public hearing. Since the timing of the revised budget is released prior to the 40th day count, the only change that will be added at this time is the amount for the allocation for gifted students. And that amount allocation is an increase to our maintenance and operation budget of $5,259. This allocation did not increase the district additional assistance amount, and I will be proposing a revised budget to account for the enrollment in December. And so the proper postings have been posted, and they are under revised statutes, and will be requesting approval during the regular scheduled board meeting. With that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Any questions? No? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I'll start with the Sahuarita Unified School District would like to ensure the accessibility of these meetings to all community members, persons with disabilities, and may request reasonable accommodations by contacting Betsy Palacio at bpalacios@sahuarita.net. This meeting will be held in person for the board members and district administration. There will also be accommodations for up to 50 community members to attend the meeting. The meeting will also be live streamed on YouTube and recorded for public. Below is the information that is needed to view the information virtually or to listen to it by phone. Again, we'll allow for 20 minutes for the call to public when we get to that point. So we'll move on to the roll call.
Governing Board President Kevin Opalka.
Here.
Governing Board Clerk Denise Reed.
Here.
Governing Board Member Sherry Lowe.
Here.
Governing Board Member Dr. John Sparks.
Here.
Governing Board Member Nicole Warner.
Here.
District Administration Superintendent Dr. Manuel Valenzuela.
Present.
Assistant Superintendent Scott Downs.
Here.
Assistant Superintendent Brett Bonner.
Here.
Chief Financial Officer Lisette Hughes.
Here.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the approval of the revised agenda. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, sir. President Opalka, members of the board, after your review and consideration, I recommend approval of the agenda as it was revised.
Thank you. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, sir. At this time, I would recommend approval of the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting of the board from July 14, 2021, and also another potential public gathering of the board, which was the July 28, 2021 public community conversation.
Thank you very much. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. We'll move on to the ratification of the vouchers.
Good
Ms.
evening. Tonight, I recommend approval of payroll vouchers 25.3, 25.4, 26.2, ratification number 1 and number 2, totaling $2,233,638.93. Additionally, I recommend expense vouchers 2181 through 2188 and ratifications number 1001 through 1008, totaling expense ratifications $1,692,322.36 for a grand total of $3,333,638.93. $925,961.29.
Thank you very much. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
For voucher number, 2184, I'm looking at the first page, and it's the second item down for a TV purchased in the amount of $4,894.74. And it says quantity 1, so I was just asking if maybe this was a typo.
I can look into that. Let me see, which voucher is it?
I believe it's 2184.
Let me just pull that up here. In most cases, when they get requests, our purchase orders might say quantity 1, but it could be multiples. So I can look into that for you and get that information to you.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to the superintendent reports. Dr. Valenzuela.
Thank you, President Apalka, members of the board. Well, I'm pleased to share that we've successfully completed the first 8 days of the 2021-22 school year, and I must say that although it's presented new challenges, we're very excited to have students back for full in-person learning. We're very excited to communicate some of the growth that you are seeing there, and to walk around campuses and see the faces and hear the voices of young people learning and teachers teaching and the normal activities taking place. I will say that, again, the numbers are up. We've worked really hard to reach out to the community personally, by phone, through video, through newsletters, just to let our community know that we are here and that we want to serve our community and that we are developing the best programs that we can to encourage them to come back. We've had a lot of them that have come back. The enrollment, as you saw, is up by several hundred over prior year. I think it was over 600. It's a good start. We've had some challenges. One of the messages I heard as I was preparing my report in regards to some of the cases, we all know that the COVID-19 situation is there, and we're working to manage it and to keep the schools open and safe. And we're always looking to improve our practices to support that. We have had some cases, and our goal is to do everything we can to keep the kids in school. And in that regard, one piece of advice and counsel that we would share in terms of our shared responsibility and total team effort is, please, 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 if kids are exhibiting symptoms and sick, keep them at home. If in doubt, keep them at home, just until we make sure, just because we have had cases where students have shown up at school and they were ill, and it just presented some challenges. So again, it's an ongoing process, and we're going to work through it together. We are continuing to develop our procedures and routines and consult and study and develop practices that, for example, help to get students when they have a close contact with somebody, which happens if you have everybody back in school, but to minimize the amount of time that they have to be out of school through allowable practices, and we're working on that. I also must say that we continue to, of course, honor and respect the law that was passed by our state of Arizona in regards to masks being optional, even though the CDC says that they request that schools use them. I appreciate going around campus and seeing the tone of respect and collegiality. I see students wearing masks, I see students that don't wear masks, and everybody's focused on being as safe as they can and doing it together. So I thank you for that. I'd like to, we mentioned a little bit about the enrollment. I want to say congratulations to two of our outstanding faculty members. Jessica England at Sahuarita Middle School teaches orchestra and English, and English teacher at Walden Grove High School, Ashton Gilday. Both were named as 2 of Arizona's 10 finalists, semifinalists, for the coveted title of Arizona Teacher of the Year. So 2 out of the 10 are from Sahuarita. No district, even the districts that are a lot bigger than us, had more than 1. And there was 1 other teacher south of the Gila River. That was a teacher from our friends and neighbors in Vail. So we're very proud and wish Jessica and Ashton the best of luck in the Teacher of the Year competition here in the coming weeks. I'm also pleased to share that in consultation with my colleague, Mrs. Huey, that we anticipate that upon final ratification which is done through the county, that our tax rates here in our community will go down slightly, but they will go down. So that's an encouraging sign that we're grateful for. Like to thank Mrs. Huey, Mr. Villa, who you see running around here, our Information Technology Director, Ms. Christina Martin and Ethan Haar. They've written a grant through the federal E-rate program, and we're optimistic. We haven't said it's a slam dunk yet, but we're optimistic that we're going to get a significant amount of financial support toward the purchase of about 1,125 to be exact Chromebook devices to reduce our ratio and to support 21st century and cooperative learning and full remote learning when it's needed. So another step in the right direction. And let me double check before I hand over the mic. I believe that does it for my report this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Valenzuela. We'll move on to the governing board reports. Dr. Sparks.
Just glad to be back in school and see kids on campus and hear noise of sports and activities, and just good to be back in some normalcy despite the stuff going on around us. So that's all I have to share tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lowell.
I had the opportunity to be on a couple campuses first day of school. I was grateful to be back and see all the kids, and it's the Super Bowl of our industry, the first day of back to school, and it was nice to be a part of it, and I'm grateful for everybody pitching in, and even though it's back to normal, it's not back to normal, and rolling with everything that we come across. And I think just the spirit of being cooperative and working together and watching that in action, I'm just really grateful for. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Reese.
I am actually grateful tonight for the first of, hopefully, definitely not the last, but the first of the return to honoring our students in our programs with the NJROTC program tonight. I'm very looking forward to being back to where we can honor our students in our programs. So that's it.
Thank you. Ms. Warner.
I have no report tonight.
Thank you. I also had the opportunity to visit one of our schools the first week of school. It was great to see everybody back, getting in the swing of things. Some of the students who weren't in our district, joining, talked to a couple, and they were excited about being on a new campus and experiencing all those great things that kids should be enjoying, and seeing friends and eating lunch with them and all of those wonderful things that are going on. So thank you. We'll move on to the recognition of community and staff. Item C, the NJROTC program update and presentation.
Yes, sir. President Apalka, members of the board, one of many programs that I'm extremely proud of in our school community is the Naval JROTC program under the leadership of Commander Brad Roberson, United States Navy retired, and Master Sergeant Jeff King, United States Marine Corps retired. Our program teaches young men and women amazing and valuable leadership skills, values of academic excellence and character. And I must say that these students, as you can see by the ribbons on the guide on there, they strive for excellence in all they do. And speaking of excellence, and I mentioned this in my opening address, we currently have in the last 5 years, I believe it's 10 commissioned officers in the United States military, 6 or 7 of whom graduated from Annapolis, West Point, or the United States Air Force Academy. So we're very proud of this program and the success that it's had. And this evening, I believe that we have some cadets that are going to provide us with an update about the program and a presentation So I'll turn it over to our cadets.
Good evening. I am Cadet Lieutenant Caitlin Sermons, the Battalion Training Officer, and I'm here to report that tonight the Sahuarita Njrotc program has an enrollment of 195 cadets for the 2021-2022 school year. This breaks down to 123 students at Sahuarita High School, 55 students at Walden Grove High School, 14 students at Sahuarita Middle School, 55 students at Walden Grove High School, 2 homeschool students, and 1 charter school student. There's also 1 student who has enlisted in the Arizona National Guard and is currently in basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and will return to school next week. The Secretary of the Navy has designated the Sahuarita Njrotc program as a distinguished unit with academic honors for the 2020-2021 school year. This signifies that our unit is ranked in top quarter of over 550 Njrotc units nationwide, and is based on a cadet accomplishment in academics, competitions, professional performance, and community service. We would like to invite the Sahuarita Unified School Board members and district administration officials to present this year's distinguished unit streamer to our battalion and company staff cadets.
Thank you very much, and congratulations for your wonderful performance and continuing successes.
Is 195 an all-time high?
I do not recall, sir, a number higher than that.
Okay, we will move on to the call to public. Those wishing to address the board may do so by submitting their comments either online or in person. Consideration and discussion of comments and concerns from the public. Those wishing to address the governing board on items not on tonight's agenda may do so at this time or at the board's discretion at the time the items appear on the agenda. Speakers are requested to hold their comments to 2 minutes or less. 20 minutes will be allowed for both online and in-person comments. In accordance with Arizona open meeting laws, board members may not respond, comment, or ask questions of speakers regarding issues not on the agenda. Any comments not read during the agenda item will still be entered into the public record. Ms. Reese.
The first speaker tonight is Matt Jeschke.
Good evening. I'm a real estate broker here in the community. My prior career critiqued multi-billion-dollar aerospace and medical designs. Language at the last school board meeting suggests a bias towards experimental COVID drugs. The FDA's emergency use authorization provisions their use only at an individual's sole discretion under informed consent law for medical experimentation. The safety and efficacy of experimental drugs spoken of are not established for adults, much less for children. The events from the prior week, we know the CDC publicly stated that COVID vaccination does not prevent transmissibility. Israel is 95% vaccinated, yet in the midst of an outbreak. 74% of COVID hospitalizations in Massachusetts are of the vaccinated. The last 6 months of VAERS reporting has more COVID vax deaths than the last 30 years of vaccinations combined. To quote Dr. Malone, who invented the mRNA gene therapy, the probability is very high that you're going to have more kids die from COVID vaccines than would have died from getting the infection. So what are we doing to these children at their most critical stages of their development, when children are dealing with an epidemic of bullying, anxiety, and mental health issues? Do not risk a medical apartheid where a child can be seen as a second-class student in their own classroom based on their medical decisions. All for a virus children have nearly 100% chance of surviving and are at the lowest risk for transmitting. There's no end to this. COVID could go on for years as they keep perpetuating the fear. Do not subject our children to additional harm and psychological trauma. Please reconsider any policies that may favor partial treatment for students based on their medical decisions. And be especially careful you're not practicing medicine either directly or indirectly through the agencies whose advice you act on. Thank you for your time.
Renee Kibbe.
Hello, I'm Renee Kibbe, and this is perfect because I'm going to piggyback off of him. The quarantine policy, it needs to change somehow if it's possible, because the Pima County Board of Supervisors has said there is no health emergency, and the quarantines are stressing teachers out, which are stressing students out, which are stressing parents out, and which will probably stress the whole town out. And we don't want that, so we want to keep it minimum. So I just got a report today from a teacher saying pretty much condemning the unvaccinated people and the non-maxed people for not wearing a mask. And she said that if you're not vaccinated and if you're not wearing a mask, it's up to you. If you get quarantined, you have to find your own work. It is not my job, and she does not have a planning session to be able to provide that for you guys. So it is up to you. If you do not want to take the vaccine or wear a mask, and it's your responsibility, not mine. So I want you to please calm the stress down, help the teachers out. The teachers are stressing because it's so chaotic. 10 kids get pulled out of class, and then they only have 5, and then, you know, how is she going to check her homework, the homework, and it's too crazy. So with this new variant, most of the kids are protected. We only have 4 children in the hospital in the whole Arizona. That's what I heard yesterday, I believe, on Pima County Board of Supervisors. I'm pretty sure. I'll double check. But
That's your time.
please,
Thank you.
Calm down the stress, and please consider changing the quarantine policy. Thank you.
Jeannie Hughes.
It's Jean Hughes, not Jeannie. Thank you. Governing Board, Administration, and Community. I've spoken here before, and the last couple of times I was here, I spoke requesting additional transparency and information, and particularly in regard to the information that's provided with the agenda. And before scenes of Bill Murray start running in your head and Groundhog Day, I want to tell you that I think the darkness of winter is starting to go away. I've had some very, very profitable email communications with Dr. Valenzuela in regard to providing more information with the agenda. And number one, he has been very polite and very prompt in his responses. I hate to say, I've sent some of those emails after 5 o'clock, and I've still gotten a response from him within a half an hour. And I really need to think you need to have a life besides this too, remember. So, but I appreciate it very much. But one of the things that we had talked about previously was seeing information on budgets, expenditures, curriculum, policy, the minutes of the previous meeting, and the action items that are going to be voted on at the meeting. So I believe we've come to a good point. In his last email back with me, he communicated that he is looking at the ideas, and while it is true, and he mentioned this, that they are abiding by the laws and the requirements that are there, and we can all go through the process to require open meetings, documents and information, that it would be a little more constituent friendly, help us all prepare for the meetings and know what's going on, and be more in tune with the school district, the community, the administration, the governing board. So I look forward to continuing the discussion on that if necessary. I know you've said you've talked with some of the board members already, and we look forward to having more information with the agenda. Thank you very much.
Lou Sampson.
Hi, my name's Lou Sampson. I just want to say what a great group of young people were here tonight. And I have heard that this school has the best ROTC program anywhere. So I applaud you for that. Thank you. Now, last month when we were at the meeting, we had quite a discussion about 35 minutes on COVID and how you were going to mitigate it and how your Zooming was better in case it happened this year. And I thought, you know, it sounded to me like you were getting ready to follow the unions. The AFT and the NEA both want everybody vaccinated and CRT taught mandated in every classroom. And, you know, I think that's the big fight with the parents and with us. And there was an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal written by two doctors, one of them from the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, and the other one was a pediatric infectious disease at Tufts Children's Hospital. They both argue against masking our kids. It's abusive to force kids who struggle with them to sacrifice any more for adults. And when you think about it, this is the first time in this country that we have ever sacrificed our children to save old people, you know, like me. I mean, I've lived my life. These young kids that aren't vulnerable to this disease are paying a heavy price. And we're pushing this victimology on them, that if they don't wear their masks, they're going to kill their teachers, they're going to kill their grandparents, they're going to kill their parents. And the safetyism, safety. It's learned helplessness, and it disempowers children. Before we start masking again, show us the data. The scientifically backed data that shows us the benefits weighted against the long-term harm. A shocking detail was revealed the other day.
Ms. Sampson,
the
that's your
National
time.
Institutes
Thank you.
of Health have spent $42 billion studying diseases. Now, they study things like shrimp on treadmills. They spent 2% of their budget on COVID, and
Ms. Sampson, I'm going to have to ask you to relinquish the microphone.
just
You're
1 minute.
exceeded your
Zero
time.
on masking children, what the benefits and the hardships are on children. Thank you.
That's it, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. No online call to public, correct?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to new business, 8A, the budget revision. Ms. Huey?
Ms. Huey did all the hard work. I will make the formal request and recommendation that the board approve the 2021-22 budget revision as presented this evening.
Thank you very much. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to 8B, the Association of Arizona School Business Officials International Certificate of Excellence.
Yes, President Opalka, Mrs. Huey would probably not have brought this to my attention herself, but I feel it's very important to shine the light on the great work that she's been doing. We recently received notification from the International Association of School Business Officials, which represents like 30,000 business officials worldwide. They have very high standards for peer review and quality-focused practices, and they have a process to evaluate members and member districts. And we, once again, have received the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting for demonstrating the highest standards of financial reporting and effective practice. That's the formal part of it, and I just want to say thanks to Lizette for what she's done. The informal part is that it's probably not enough. Lizette's been our CFO for a relatively short period of time, a couple years. And in that time, I can tell you that she's increased for example, she's done transformational work. She's increased the system integration between the finance and the human resources modules to support higher levels of quality in cooperation with Mr. Downs. She's increased innovative options for bill pay to promote better service and efficiency. And she's worked to improve the student and staff travel practices to promote safety, security, and best practices when they're traveling outside of the area. So I know more. This is just the beginning, but I just want to say congratulations to Mrs. Huey on the achievement of this special distinction. Congratulations, Lizette.
Thank you. Congratulations. It's a big honor.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your support.
We'll move on to item 9A, the ASBA proposed 2022 political agenda.
Yes, sir. And President Opalka, if I may, just a couple of introductory remarks. One, just to educate the public and just to clarify, the Sahuarita Unified School District, along with every other public school district in the state of Arizona, is a member of the Arizona School Board Association. The association has a variety of functions, many of which are in support of effective governance. They have professional development, teaching about law, and such things, recognition programs, professional growth opportunities. And one of the things that the organization does is they have a body where they develop priorities and policy objectives that support the greater interest of public education. And there's a process that the association uses. Each board has a delegate that's assigned to represent the district. And so the agendas hasn't been determined. It's not like a document that's presented at this point. The reason it's up here is because there is a process, and the board is charged with nominating a delegate to be part of this process and to give that delegate direction about any practices or any particular policies or just general direction. I can say that in the past, this board, as long as I've been in Sahuarita, has elected a delegate, and usually as part of the recommendation or the nomination, asked that delegate to act in his or her best judgment to vote and support the best interest of the district. I can tell you that the board has had a chance to vote for its priorities in this process, this internal process of developing the political agenda, and I can tell you what you voted on. You voted for equitable and sustainable and dedicated funding for education, funding for new school construction, which is important for us in a growing community, restoring capital funding, opposing vouchers and empowerment scholarship accounts, local control, and funding for all-day kindergarten. So these are some of the themes that you've had in there. And again, at this point, the only thing I'd say, because it is your process, is that your task this evening is to nominate a delegate to the process and to give your delegate whatever direction you'd like to give in regards to this ASBA protocol.
Thank you, Dr. Valenzuela. Yeah, so we'll move on to the selection of a delegate. I believe there are 2 members on the board that are not eligible for delegate selection, Dr. Sparks and myself, being members of the legislative committee. So if one of you 3 ladies is interested in carrying the torch and would like to volunteer, would be great. I do know that last year, Ms. Reese, you had the opportunity to be our delegate in a not in-person forum, a definitely different situation. So if you're interested in it again and having an opportunity to participate in person, I would recommend that Ms. Reese have that opportunity. But if somebody else has a strong opinion about wanting to participate, I'm open for that as well.
I am actually going to recommend and nominate Nicole Werner for the position for this year, and also indicate that I would be interested in being the backup.
Great. That's a big role to fill too, in case you need to take a break in the middle of it, or Ms. Warner. Are you up for accepting that nomination?
Yes.
Great. So I guess with that nomination, do I hear a motion to select Ms. Warner as our delegate and Ms. Reese as our backup?
Do you want me to make the motion?
Do we need
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and second. Great. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This is a big part of our voice at the table, right, to set the agenda. So all those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? No? Okay, thank you. So Ms. Warner will be our representative, and Ms. Reese will be our backup. So thank you very much. We'll move on to item C, the revised governing board meeting schedule.
Yes, sir, President Apalka, members of the board. These are just recommended changes to the already published calendars for 2021 and 22. The first one is next month. We only have one board meeting in September. We always only have one meeting. The recommendation is to move the regularly scheduled meeting from September 8th to September 15th due to a calendar conflict. Again, only one meeting per that month anyway. And the other one was just a human error in the communication of the date. As you know, we've been meeting on Wednesdays as long as I've been in Sahuarita, and so the recommendation is to move the date in July 2022 from July 12 to July 13. So for 2021, the recommendation is to change the September 8 meeting to September 15, and in 2022 to move the July 12, the one published as July 12, to July 13.
Thank you very much. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? No? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. We'll move on to the appointment of facilities director. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Apalka, members of the board. From a leadership lens, one of the words and phrases that I speak with our leadership council and our cabinet about is that the greatest investment that you make is that which you invest in people. And we take that with great heart and with great seriousness. Last year, actually in the spring, our long-time facilities director, Mr. George Emerson, retired after, probably 15 years here in the Sahuarita School District. And as we've continued to grow, the critical function and importance of that senior position that oversees the physical plant, all aspects of custodial services, maintenance, planning, supervision of approximately 80 personnel, and creating an environment for students that's safe, pleasant, and conducive to learning. It's a tall order. We now have 9 school buildings, not to mention all of the other programmatic sites covering, Scott probably knows off the top of his head, hundreds of thousands of square feet of maintenance. So we, Scott, Mr. Downs, Mr. Bonner, with great seriousness initiated the search immediately. As you can tell by the fact that that we're sitting here probably 4 or 5 months later, tells you that it was taken with great seriousness. They went through multiple rounds of screening, interview, reference checks to find the right person. And in this latest stage of the process, determined that the most qualified best fit person for the job is a gentleman who's been a part of our team all along. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Downs, who's going to tell us about the recommendation before I formally make it.
Thank you, Dr. Valenzuela. It is my pleasure to recommend somebody who has really been holding down the fort for the last 4 months. Upon the departure of Mr. George Emerson, Mr. Andrade has been my right-hand guy all along. It takes me back to the end of May when we had graduation, and I was thinking everything was under control, which it was. Mr. Andrade went on vacation to Mexico that week, and everything was as smooth as it could have been in his absence. At that time, he was the acting ground supervisor. I didn't ask him to fulfill that duty, but he saw the need, he jumped in, excuse me, and really started doing the job. And from every moment thereon, he took on one more challenge. Mr. Downs, I think we need to start looking at our preventative maintenance schedule. And so he just started taking things by the hand and doing things that need to be done, and I didn't ask him to do one of those things. As Dr. Valenzuela said, excuse me, it takes a well-rounded person to handle all the facets of the facilities department. And our committee, which comprised of 10 people, it had principals on there, some teachers, some other faculty, Mrs. Azuela from HR. We interviewed 10 different people, 3 different rounds, second-time interviews, checking references, and really the best person was right underneath our nose. Mr. Andrade, with all those well-rounded experiences, has worked in the drywall business for 10 years. He's worked in the janitorial business for 6 years. He's worked in the concrete business for 3 years. In May of 2017 is when he actually became our grounds foreman and started to learn the way that we operate and got some more leadership opportunity. He's been doing that since May of 2017. And moving from the grounds foreman, he actually went to our facilities foreman, which is the number 2 position. And when he was there, he finally came to me and said, you know, I think I can do this job too. I would like to apply it. I was kind of near the end of the process because it's like, well, why did it take us three months to find somebody that was right underneath our nose? It was because he decided to apply at the end and saying, you know, I'm doing the job now and I could do that. He was unanimously supported by the committee. His professionalism, character, excuse me, desire for a customer-oriented department, supporting departmental employees in his department and supporting their approach to be solution-oriented. I really couldn't recommend, I don't think, anything better for this position. And in fact, I want to give 2 quotes from the committee. One person said on the committee, although there's been several people missing in this department, service has never been better. And the second thing is, Mr. Andrade is always saying, what can we do better? And it's interesting that every time you give him a kudo for a job well done, he always responds, it's because we got a good team. So it is with pleasure that I would like to recommend to Dr. Valenzuela, Mr. Ramon Andrade. I don't think we'll find a better person anywhere.
And at this time, I would recommend Mr. Ramon Andrade for appointment to the position of Director of Facility Services in Sahuarita Unified School District.
Thank you very much. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Motion
And Dr.
carries, and
Valenzuela,
welcome to the
Mr.
team.
Andrade is here, and I know he wanted to say a couple of things when I talked to him this morning.
Come on down. Welcome to the team.
Thank you everyone. I want to say thank you to everyone to giving me the chance to do more for the district. You know, I'm always here for you guys and try to help in everything I can. My vision is try to make everything for the safety of the kids. You know, we have a lot of kids. I want to make it safe and comfortable for everyone to be here and all around us, you know. And I want to say thank you to Mr. Downs for giving me the opportunity, Brett Bonner, Dr. Valenzuela. You know, I'm always here. Anything you guys need, you guys, you know, you can reach me. Thank you.
And Dr. Valenzuela, I know that he had brought somebody with him. I didn't know if he could just introduce his guest real quick.
My wife, Julieta.
Thank you very much. Glad to have you as leadership and continuing leadership. Thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
Yes, sir. President Palka, members of the board, you have a lengthy consent agenda as usual, which contains routine matters that are allowed to be considered in one comprehensive motion, and I do recommend your approval of the entire consent agenda at this time.
Thank you very much. Have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. I did want to say thank you to all those who've donated items, and in particular, I noticed a pallet of various size of hand sanitizer from Fry's. I know that goes a long way, and I know every year, even pre-COVID, hand sanitizer was on the list, and you always bring it in, and anything to help try and prevent the spread of germs and that stuff. Really appreciate that. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 12, possible future agenda considerations. Does anyone have anything they'd like to put forward?
Yeah, Mr. President. Just at some point in the time of the future, I just, as I've been on the board now for a while and been in the district for more years than that, just curious to get some follow-up data about using the reteach and enrich model at the middle school level. I know that some of that's connected with our use of beyond textbooks, but just I'm curious and would like to see data over the last, I think it's been 8 years since we've instituted that process, just to see how that reteach and enrich model versus the 7-period model that was in place prior, how it's impacted success. Has it changed math scores? Has it increased reading and English scores? Are we, by removing that, and I do realize that children that are performing fairly well, at least 1 or 2 of our middle schools often have 2, they'll, in that reteach and enrich period, they go to enrichment, which could be the wheel, it could be some art for a while, it could be, PE, but just to see if that's what the change has been over that. I think that's a good number of years to kind of look back at and kind of say, was it worth removing that 7th period to install the reteach and enrich program? And I think before that we did, if you were not doing well, you were kind of in that 7th period, you were placed in a class to help you catch up anyways, if I remember correctly from before this model. So just that's my curiosity. I want to make sure that we're allowing junior or middle school students, sorry, I grew up in a junior high, middle school students to, expand that horizon and have that opportunity to be involved in more than just one. I know the wheel kind of does that, but if you're in band or orchestra, that does limit that option. So whether they have that other one. So just would like to know, and then kind of maybe understand how we're doing that. I know there's a slight difference of reteach and enrich at the middle schools based on the amount of teachers and size of school and that kind of stuff too. But just kind of see those numbers and see that data and kind of have a conversation about the value of that in place as it currently sits.
Middle school specific?
Middle school specific, yeah. I think that's
all middle school ages, not just SMS.
Yeah, I'm talking about 6th, 7th, and 8th.
6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yeah, what we consider middle school.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because we transitioned to that middle section at 6th grade here. I grew up where it was 7th, like traditional junior high, but middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
So that involved Rights and Ridge, SMS, and
Algebra.
middle school.
Thank you.
Got it.
Yes, sir. We will get it done.
Thank you.
Any other items for consideration? Okay. We'll move on to establishing the next board meeting. It will be August 25th here in the auditorium. And no executive session, so do I have a motion for recess?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Thank you very much. Have a good evening.